Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out here on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on facebook.com/livenowdt. We are inside of this edition of Dolphin Dive, inside of Dolphin Time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I'm very proud and happy to have not only a future Dolphin, but somebody from our community of Baldwinsville right here in central and upstate New York. And that is Miss Sara Hunter, going from the Baldwinsville girls lacrosse team to join LeMoyne women's lacrosse in the not too distant future. Sara, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. Very soft spoken for a lacrosse player, very mild right now. I'm sure that's different on the lacrosse field.
Oh yeah. I have a lot of energy. Very loud person typically.
So bring me into how you switch it on and off to go from someone who can be, calm, cool, and collected to getting onto a field and just being a totally different entity, so to speak.
Well, I mean, like they say, it's like a switch in you. So before games, like I always drink like an energy drink or something. And I always just listen to music and I just try and like focus and just get into the vibe of things. And I don't know, it's just a little switch that turns on when you go on the field that like makes you that aggressive, loud player than when you're outside of it and you're just happy, calm, and just chilling.
What is the energy drink of choice?
Okay. Well, I used to drink Celsius and then I started drinking Bangs, but now I'm trying to go away from Bangs because they're really bad for you. So I'm trying to switch back to Celsius.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So here with Sara Hunter, Baldwinsville to LeMoyne, you got one more ride with Beeville. What is going through your mind knowing that this season is going to be the final go around as a B?
Very excited. I feel like this year we're going to be pretty good because the dynamic my class and the grade below has, it's not like anything else because we've been playing together our whole lives. So the team bond is just insane this year. And I'm just excited just to see what happens.
When did your teammates that you have here now that you were just describing, when did some of you start playing together?
Like first grade, I would say. Like even back to like the ULA days, like we had our Beeville travel team. Even though I technically didn't go to Beeville at the time, I still lived here, so I'd always be on their team. And it's just we've been playing together our whole life.
And so having that connection,
nice to grow up with these girls and still be with them.
Yeah, so having that connection back to first grade, I would imagine that you know each other's tendencies, strengths, weaknesses, probably read each other, sometimes maybe through osmosis, kind of read somebody's mind and know where they're going to be. Bring me into how much of an advantage that can be that you've known your teammates for such a long time, the majority of your life.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just because I know I'll say the Hollenbeck twins or triplets technically. I just know exactly where they're going to be. So now I could just picture the pass whenever I'm on the field with them just to get it to them in the right spot. And I have the same connection with them too when I'm cutting. And it's just, I don't know. And over the past year, it's just been developing more as we're getting better and older and playing more together. Because during COVID, we weren't playing with our club teams as much because it was harder to get around. So we would just go down to the hockey rink they just turned into a turf and just playing together, and our connection and just we could just telepath things now, which it's pretty cool to just think of that could actually happen with people.
So your connection here with your teammates, who would you say of the entire time you played lacrosse, who would you consider to be the person who has maybe had the biggest positive effect on you when it comes to the sport of lacrosse?
As a person in general or a player?
No, somebody you played with or maybe played against, someone that you've been on the field with.
That's a tough one because I feel like every single person I've played with had a different effect on my game and like just tweaked me to be like a better player. Like even like talking back to like Allison, I've been playing her for years and she's like a great defender. So you just need to like speed up just a little bit to get around her. And it's just like, I don't know. Everybody's had their own little effect. And I don't know, it's insane.
Sara Hunter here with us, coming from the Baldwinsville Bees and a future LeMoyne women's lacrosse player for the Dolphins, here in this edition of Dolphin Dive, exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cubal studios. You brought up Allison, and people have seen her in a previous special here on Wake Up Call in her own edition of Dolphin Dive. Allison Cole of CNS. Adversaries played in the championship game for sectionals against each other last year, have an opportunity to play each other again this year. And then after that, teammates. Bring me into facing her for so long and now knowing that eventually down the road, instead of being opposite her and trying to get around her, you're going to be working together.
Well, I mean, she's one of the nicest people I know. Like, because one of my good friends, Molly, it's like one of her best friends. It's just, I don't know. It's weird to think about how your competitors are. She's going to be basically my sister in the next year. Like, she's literally going to be family to me. And it's like, even like when we play each other now, it's crazy to think of how we literally are going like all guns blazing, like hardcore aggressive towards each other. But then we're going to be on the same team next year, which I don't know.
Does that stick in the back of your mind? Like, will that be in the back of your mind this season?
Yeah. Like even the other recruits, as I'm playing with them or playing against them, it's like, even when they do like a little success on the field, in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, let's go. I don't know.
So, I mean, it's interesting to have that, and to have somebody that you have to get past, get around in order for your team to be successful. And then they are going to be your teammate. What is it about Allison? You said that she's very kind. What else is it about her and maybe her game that you're excited about being on the same team and eventually going to be wearing the same colors together?
Well, she's one of the most aggressive players I know. Like, I remember just like going against her for like ground ball battles, and she always put like up a good fight. And it's always like we're head to head. So it's just her aggressiveness, I would say, is what sticks out most, because a lot of players, like, they have like a good amount, but like she's just like insane, and she's fast, like so fast. And I feel like those are the things about her that stick out most when I play her.
So we look at the fact that last season ended with the sectionals. There were no states. Sectional championship, instead of being played on neutral ground, was played at your home in Beeville. It was CNS and Beeville, Allison on one side, you on the other, double overtime, 12-11 victory for CNS. Bring me into that game and just, I mean, I was there, I was in the stands, just how crazy it was to play that game, be a part of that game, and just the fight that CNS gave you and how it went back and forth so much.
It was honestly, I feel like no one expected that to be like the outcome of it. Like, of course, it was heartbreaking losing, but CNS's rise over the past few years has been crazy, because like our old rivalries used to be like West Jenny, but now it's shifting towards CNS. So I don't know. That was one intense game. Definitely a lot of emotions in that, especially the overtime. I don't know. It was a good experience to live through. I would say that, because you don't really have those games many times in your life. Like, those are like once in a lifetime opportunities. And I'm just happy I got to live through it and experience it like firsthand, being in a situation like that.
What did it teach you?
You got to deal with the losses, but like you can't let it affect you. Like, you can't let it get to your heart. But if it does get to your heart, you got to use that as your advantage to be better the next year. So like all my teammates and I, we are using that loss as our advantage to practice even harder and get ready for this year. Because I know our third game, I believe it is, we play CNS, and that's all we're like ready for. We've been practicing a lot. We keep going out on runs together. We're just trying to prepare for that because we don't want to lose again.
And I was going to ask you that if you circled CNS and you answered the question already, it's right there in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you can't let the losses go to your heart. One of my favorite rappers, and who's also an actor now, LL Cool J, said, "You can't let the wins go to your head; the losses go to your heart." And you just mentioned that you have to deal with it, but you can't let it get to you and let it have a negative effect on you or kind of sit on you like dust, so to speak. How do you deal with a loss? In your opinion, how did you deal with that loss and then find a way to let it go? Like, what was the healthy way to deal with it?
Honestly, running for me, because I feel like that's like my therapy, is when I deal with like situations like that where I get really upset, I'll go on a long run just to clear my mind and just like, it's in the past. You only got like the future. You just got to live in the moment and prepare for what's to come. You can't like think back to that, get all down. You got to just use that, as I said earlier, to be ready. So I would just say running. That was like the big thing that helped me get through that.
Sara Hunter here with us in this edition of Dolphin Dive, coming from the Baldwinsville Bees to the LeMoyne College Dolphins. One more season with Baldwinsville before heading off to LeMoyne. In your recruitment, Sara, did you want to stay close? Did you have the notion or the thought that you would? Did this surprise you that LeMoyne felt like the right place and maybe you were expected to go out of state? How did you go into recruiting, and what are your thoughts about being close to home?
Well, honestly, going in, I never thought I'd stay near home. Like I remember when I was like younger, I was always like, oh, I'm going to get out of town for college. I'm going to go somewhere different. And LeMoyne, honestly, I mean, both of my parents graduated from there. My brother's there right now. So it's sort of a family school. So I really had no expectations to go there, but it sort of came out of the blue because, as you know, our whole recruiting process was very messy because everything was getting shut down and it was basically all online. And I went to like a random clinic around here in like January, and it was for LeMoyne. It was just like, oh, my buddies are going, so I'm gonna show up, just have some fun.
Yeah.
And then the more like I played there and like got to meet the coaches, I realized this is like actually what I want, was LeMoyne. Like I sort of fell in love with it, like right when I realized, oh, this is like on the table.
So for you, your family going there, your mom and your dad, your brother being there now, to have that connection with your family, a very special and unique and fun connection. What does that mean to you? And will you and your brother get to be there at the same time?
Maybe.
Okay.
Might be staying an extra year, so I might get them for 1 year, but I mean, that would be pretty fun. I just enjoy the fact that I am going to be close to home, so my parents can come see me play, because me and my dad have like a really close bond. Like we always have our little traditions on Saturday morning, and I'm happy that I'm actually going to still be able to like continue those as I go into college. So I feel like that's a big thing, is just being close to my family. Like I'd never realized it before, but now thinking about it, like this is like so nice, and not a lot of kids are going to be able to see their families whenever they want. Like I could drive home a 30-minute drive just to go see them, which is pretty cool.
When you go home, when you're at LeMoyne and you go home, what are your top 3 favorite meals that are made in your house?
That's a tough one. I feel like it's a mood I'm in. I mean, my mom makes some pretty good mac and cheese, so I'm excited for that. Her chicken noodle soup,
Okay.
it's so good.
All right.
And I don't know. I feel like I like every single meal. I'm a food person, so this is really hard.
Mac and cheese, chicken noodle soup. One more. If it's like the last meal you could ever eat at home, and it was those two things, you got to add one more thing.
Oh, her baked ziti is really good too.
Okay.
I will say that.
So there's literally pasta in all three of those dishes.
We eat pasta here.
Fair enough. Is there Italian background in the family or no?
There is a little
Okay.
bit of Italian, a little bit of Polish, then some random stuff. But whenever people ask, I say I'm half Italian, half Polish. That's what I say.
That's all right. That's all right. So with having that connection with family and going through this process, you said obviously the last couple of years for recruiting and really for anybody who's been recruited of any sport, high school or prep school to college, it's been something that nobody's ever experienced before. No one's had a pandemic recruitment, and that's what we've seen for 2 years. How did you handle it? What did you like about it? What did you dislike about it? That so much of it was virtual. You couldn't shake hands or sit down with a coach or maybe be around the team. So what can you say about the recruitment during this pandemic, and what was your least favorite thing and maybe your most favorite thing?
I feel like my least favorite thing was not being able to travel and see these schools that are reaching out to you or going on these trips with your teammates to go play at these tournaments. Like, I feel like that was what hit me the most, because we'd have a tournament planned for like the next weekend, and then, oh, we can't go anymore because half of our team's under quarantine. And I feel like that was definitely the most difficult part, like just to like get through my head. And it was also like hard to talk to coaches because we weren't able to go visit those schools and like actually see the campus.
Yeah.
So, but the advantages were, I don't know. This is like the first time anybody's ever done this. So that's pretty cool to think of. Like, I mean, it was a really bad situation, but like you basically were the test dummies.
Yeah.
It's that way.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's interesting. But I don't know. Another advantage, I don't know, it popped up LeMoyne for me, which now like I'm going there. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and for you, when you thought that you were going to be going out of town and whatnot, going through your recruitment process, were there any schools that were really hard to say no to?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I feel like the big thing with the whole my personal recruiting process was I had these schools reach out, but then at the same time, I didn't know if that was what I truly wanted, because I couldn't get the full feel of like meeting the coach in person or seeing the campus. So I don't know. It was definitely difficult to say no to some people just because it's like the uncertainty of like what it's actually like there.
Yeah.
So I would say that.
So LeMoyne, did they get a competitive advantage that most things were virtual and they were right down the road, so to speak? Do you think that gave them a little bit of an advantage for you?
I would say so, because I don't know, like Bevel, she was supportive during my whole recruiting process. Like, she was always like by my side, like rooting me on. And then like the more I talked with schools, like I realized I wasn't as like comfortable talking on the phone with them as I was with her. So I feel like that definitely gave the advantage, and I could go see the campus, like go watch the practice from like a distance. I don't know. So I would say so.
And you led me into my next question, which was about Liz Bevel, the head coach of the women's lacrosse team at LeMoyne for the Dolphins. Just what your thoughts are about her personality and her as a coach.
I absolutely love her as a person and a coach. I got the opportunity to play under her at the Central games, which was an amazing experience. It's just her coaching style I absolutely love. and she tweaks like the little things, and she just has so much faith and hope in like all of her girls. And she's like one of the most encouraging coaches I've ever played or like talked to. So I don't know. I just love her to death. And I'm so excited for that.
So that huge endorsement for Coach Bevel here on the Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of this edition of Dolphin Dive. Sara Hunter, my guest, coming from Beeville to LeMoyne. Obviously, I know that if I ask you what you want to do at Beeville, it's to win sectionals, win states. What can you say about, as you look around the locker room, look around the classroom, look around the hallways of Baldwinsville, what goes through your mind and what goes through your heart knowing that you have one last ride with these girls?
I mean, it's definitely sad to think of. Like, I've played with these girls my whole life, and I'm going to have to play in a different team. But also, it's going to be cool playing against them because, like, some of the girls, like, our goalie, who I've literally played with my whole life, she's going to Pace. And LeMoyne plays Pace, so I think that's going to be pretty cool. And it's also going to be fun to go to their games and see how they are doing in college.
Yeah.
But it's definitely sad to think of, but it's exciting to think that like we're going into the next chapter of our lives and we're going to.
And we just lost your volume here for a second. So let me see if we can fix that. So let's see if we can get Sara back on here and be able to hear her okay. Can you hear us?
Ooh, hello?
You can hear us?
Okay, now I can.
Okay, all right, perfect. So just the last part of what you were saying, we missed.
How far was it?
When you were talking about that in the next chapter of your life, that's exciting.
Oh, it's exciting that we are going to be there to like support each other and even still push each other to the next step. Yeah.
So when you look at the last couple of years, you didn't have a season, and then you didn't have states last year when there were sectionals. College teams could give a year back.
Yeah.
Pro teams could adjust their schedule. High school, you lost it. It was gone. How did you, we talked about the mental side and like going through a loss and being able to mentally deal with it and then not let it get to your heart and move forward. How did you deal with the mental and emotional side of having an entire season taken away? That you weren't not in sectionals because you lost. You weren't not in states because you lost. You weren't in anything because of a pandemic that nobody can control. How did you handle the fact that you've been playing your whole life and then all of a sudden lacrosse had to stop?
Well, it was honestly really devastating. And that whole like end of the school year with all the virtual learning and no lacrosse at all, like not even club. I've never lived like any of my lives without at least traveling to one tournament or playing one lacrosse game. So it heavily like impacted my emotional state. But I just sort of tried to use that to focus on things I never had like time to focus on before. Like I baked a lot. I got into lifting. Like, I don't know. So even though I lost a very important year of lacrosse, I just try to use that as my advantage to get better as a person and a player.
What did you bake? That's an important question.
Okay, I made some. I made this. What was it? It was really good. It was some kind of cheesecake, and it was like this really fancy one. Oh, it was a cannoli cheesecake.
Okay.
And that was so good. I also like just made like a whole bunch of cookies. I made a lot of cakes. I don't know. We had a different dessert like every week.
I'm sure the family was happy.
They were.
What got you into it? Is it something that your family does? Did you just say, hey, you know what? I got to find something to do. How'd you get into it?
Well, I feel like I've always baked my whole life. Don't know what it is. Maybe just runs in the family, but it's just I had all this free time and I didn't know what to do with it. And I like making desserts just because like they make people happy. So I don't know. I think making the desserts and like dropping off at people's houses, knowing they were getting happy from it, it's like that's what kept me baking things, I would say.
So we have Sara Hunter, the Beeville player. We have Sara Hunter, the soon-to-be LeMoyne Dolphin. Will we have Sara Hunter, the bakery business owner someday?
No.
Okay. Just for fun. Just for fun.
Just for fun.
Okay, fair enough. Well, do you know what you want to do?
I have an idea. I want to be a pharmaceutical rep,
Okay.
I think. Yeah, that's like the job I've been like leaning towards the last 2 years, but I think that's going to be the final one.
Why? Why that?
I don't know, because it's like a very competitive, like independent, but not independent industry. And I don't know, it has a little bit of science, it has a little bit of business in it. That just interesting. And there's also a lot of money with it, which is also a bonus. But I don't know, it just seems fun and it would be a good fit for me as a job.
All right. Well, that coming here from Sara Hunter. Sara, there's a final thing that we're going to do here. It's called rapid fire. It gives me the opportunity to get to know you and you to get to know me. And of course, the viewers and the listeners to get to know who you are as well. It could be about literally anything, doesn't have to have anything to do with sports. It's rapid questions back and forth. You get 3, I get 3. I'm going to let you start first. And whatever we ask, the other person has to answer that question.
Favorite color.
That was easy. Green is my favorite color, so works out for LeMoyne, I guess. Green's always been my favorite.
Great color.
Yes. Okay. Question for you. Let's see here. What do you think are the best qualities of a dolphin, like the actual animal?
I would say the color, like the nice, smooth, grayish color. The noise it makes. I always try and do the noise, but my parents just tell me to stop because I'm embarrassing myself. I don't know. They're like you know how they could protect you from sharks.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good quality.
That is a good quality to have. Yeah. And they're very smart. They're arguably supposed to be almost as smart as humans.
Okay.
And I would venture to say they're smarter than some humans that I've met. So
probably.
yes. What's your second one for me?
What made you want to start a talk show?
Well, when I was 5, I started to type on my dad's word processor, and I've always had a big imagination. So I would just have stories in my head and I'd see things and I'd picture them and I picture the landscape and the characters and who's moving and where are they going and what's happening. And I don't know, I always wanted to tell a story. I was always older than I like my actual age. And so I don't know, I just felt like I felt moved to just bring people together, make people laugh, help people feel loved and appreciated, community, all the positive things. And especially in today's world, to, in my own way, kind of like you drop off your cake, for me to, drop off this whole box of positivity that's filled with making you laugh and helping you to feel loved and to let you know that other people go through tough times too, empathy and just faith and hope. So I would like to think that my show in and of itself is a little box of something that'll make somebody smile.
Very good answer.
Thank you. My second one for you is, if you were hosting a talk show, what would the talk show be about, and who would you want your first guest to be?
That's hard. I don't know.
Any subject, any guest.
I don't know. This is I've never thought about this. I feel like I think of a lot of things. Okay, first guest I would have Hmm. Maybe like, this is so hard. Okay, I would have, trying to think of like celebrities here to have as a talk show, but I would say Jason Momoa.
Okay.
Yeah, he would be my first guest, and I'll say a talk show about successes they've had in their lives. There you go.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Ironically, coming into this conversation, there was a conversation about Aquaman I was listening to. So, so that, and it linked right up to his character. Second one coming out soon. So that's funny how God works. What's your last one for me?
Favorite bakery in Syracuse.
Oh, that is so easy. That is ridiculously easy. Also, a conversation I had today. So, by far the best bakery on the planet is Lyncourt Bakery on
I agree with that.
What'd you say?
I agree with that.
Yes. So, guys, to people that call them black and whites, they're not. They're half moons. The coconut cookies, nobody knows what a Kigley is except for us. So, Kigley's, half moons, jelly donuts, headlights, taillights, best Italian bread that I've ever had. So, I would say Lyncourt Bakery. If the world was ending and I could bring any, if I could bring any place like and just put it on a ship, I'd put the Lyncourt Bakery on a ship with me.
I love that place.
What's your favorite? This is not my question, but what's your favorite thing to get there?
Okay, so you know they're like the long powdered donuts with like the cream filled insides. I don't know what it is. Those when they're fresh and they just melt in your mouth. Oh my goodness. Those are little bites of heaven.
Yes. And I love the fact that you go to Beeville, yet you know that like because Lyncourt Bakery, that's a little trek. You got to drive out there. So who got you introduced to Lyncourt Bakery? It's got to be mom or dad, right?
Oh, it's my father. Me and my dad always drive to bakeries on Sunday. Like
Okay.
we'll always go downtown to get some bread from Columbus, of course.
Okay.
But we always stop at different bakeries, but Lyncourt's the best, or Biscotti's. I love Biscotti's.
So tell me, what's dad's first name?
Gene.
Gene. So shout out to Gene because it's awesome to have those memories with your kids. And I think I think that's so huge to have that. I mean, it sounds like you really have a very close bond with your dad, which is pretty special. Yeah. So my final question will play off of that. What is your favorite memory up to this point with your father?
I feel like there's so many memories. It's hard to just choose one. I don't know. I would just say like, maybe it's not an exact memory, but just like he always knows how to cheer me up and just have fun. Like no matter what the situation is, he always can make me laugh. He always can make me smile. So I would just say like just tiny little things that he does in my life that just cheer me up are like my favorite memories. Like I remember one time I was like really sad and he started blasting music outside from his car and just was like pretending to sing up to me. That was a good memory. That was like sort of recent, so that's why I remember that. But I don't know, there's just so many.
Do you remember the song?
No, it was like, I don't even know what the song was. It was just something random on the radio. He just started blasting.
It sounds like your dad appreciates and very much values what it means to be a parent. Mm-hmm. You know, both of your parents. So shout out to mom and dad, shout out to the family, and shout out to your upcoming season at Beeville. And from there, becoming a LeMoyne Dolphin. This has been a special edition of Dolphin Dive on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios with Sara Hunter. Sara, thank you so much for being a part of it. And I look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.